Alright, well, I guess I might as well talk about one more movie in particular. And, yep, it's a rather recent release. It just came out this year. It is already on Blu-ray, so you can take a look at it for yourself. And I highly recommend it, The Quiet Place. Or A Quiet Place, I should say, to be exact. Yes, this is the film that's been talked about a lot this year, and I have to talk about this one. I know I didn't anticipate it for this year, but hey, what the hell. I guess I'll talk about it, because there's a few movies that obviously aren't getting released this year that were on my list, so I guess, once again, I'll count this as a fill-in movie. I didn't know what to really expect out of this one. There's been a lot of horror films this year, and very few of them are actually good, especially the ones I most anticipated for this year. I mean, it's kind of been a little disappointing, but thankfully this one turns the tides a little bit, because, well, what more do you expect out of a movie that doesn't have much dialogue in it? It is pretty dialogue-less, but for a good reason. Now, before you go all say, oh what, there's no dialogue, it's boring? No, it is not boring. It is one of those films that builds up a lot of suspense. It's for a good reason. It has purpose to it. Now, first of all, in case you're not familiar with the plot, and, well, if you don't want spoilers, you should probably turn this video off because, well, I might spoil some stuff for you. Otherwise, yes, the plot is that the family that obviously is in a post-apocalyptic world after a so-called alien invasion, because the aliens only feed off of, well, sound. That's what they need to be able to attack people. If they don't hear anything, that's why the people don't make noise, because they won't come and get them. So that's why there's not much dialogue in this film. They tiptoe, there's a lot of sign language in the film, and it's a clever concept. I like the build-up, I like the suspense. And it's a little slow at the first 10 to 20 minutes, but like I said, it gets somewhere. It has a lot of purpose. I liked all the clever tactics it has and everything. Yes, eventually you do get to some parts where there is actual spoken dialogue, and when there's actual noise that comes out of them by pure accident, like when they knock the lantern over, and then the lights outside that they flicker red whenever that's like a red alert right there. And the characters are played by, of course, Emily Blunt and her real-life husband, John Krasinski. And not to mention, he also directed this movie. I guess it runs in the blood right there. But the two kids are obviously not really their children in real life. They had two sons in the film, but one of them, spoiler alert at the beginning, gets taken by one of the creature aliens. Because you knew that was going to happen with the whole toy rocket thing. And then, of course, the younger son, he survives. And then, of course, their daughter, she obviously is deaf in the movie, not to mention in real life too as well. It's not the first time that this has happened in real life. There's a lot of deaf actors and actresses that do act in films. We've kind of seen this before. And she does a really good job too as well, so it does build to a clever tactic. The most clever tactic, I think, was when they're under the waterfall and they realize, like, because it's so loud, like they can yell all they want to and nothing will happen. That was pretty cool. But the biggest foreshadowing moment I recall is when she's walking up the stairs and then the nail reveals itself. I was like, okay, I saw that coming right there. That was the obvious foreshadowing. So, yeah, it's a little bit of everything in the film. It has a bit of a variety. And the runtime, it's about an hour and a half long. So it's not too long for this kind of film, and it's good enough to keep your attention for the duration. The only thing I didn't like about it is the alien creature. Yes, it doesn't seem like Hollywood ever comes up with creatively designed aliens. I mean, seriously. There's been good films with alien designs that weren't that great. I mean, you had the one with, coincidentally, Emily Blunt's character and Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow, which was a really good, entertaining movie, but the alien is typical CG-ish. Not very creative. The Super 8 alien, not very creative. I mean, are the Alien movies by Ridley Scott and James Cameron really the only ones with the most creative design and signs? Those are the ones I think are the most creative. This one, not so much. Otherwise, I think this is a really great film, and it should be watched, but you do have to have a little bit of patience at the beginning of part of it, of course, because it does build up to something. I think it really does get somewhere. And not to mention, it was also really cool visiting some of the filming locations in this movie. Like the farm located in Pawling, New York, and right across the street from it, of course, is the house that they live in. The sand is not still there, of course, but I did manage to see where it was. And I also noticed that the silo in the film is actually not there. I found out that it was actually edited in the film, so yeah, you can tell it's not really there. Not to mention, also at the beginning, the bridge that they walk on is located right across the river at New Paltz, New York, as part of the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. And not to mention the pharmacy that they show at the beginning of the movie where the kid gets the toy rocket and everything like that. That's located inside the Beacon Natural Market. Inside only, obviously. The outside was obviously not used. I didn't get to see every single location. I know one of the other houses that they walked past the old man was located not too far from the farm and the house right across the street in Pauling. And the village that they go to at the beginning where that pharmacy is actually about 2 hours north, so that's out of the question. But otherwise, seeing the main location was pretty cool. Also, another thing I'm not really too crazy about is the fact that the film just greenlit a sequel. I mean, it ended on a pretty suspenseful note, and it's really good and everything, but don't you think a sequel would kind of ruin it? I mean, I could be wrong, the sequel could end up working, but I don't know. It's just, they did so much with this film, it got this far, and sometimes less is more for this matter. But otherwise, great film, great suspense, great build-up. Despite the alien design not being 100% great and creatively designed, I still think it's a good film. I think these people worked very well on this film, and otherwise, it's definitely worth the watch and probably one of the best horror films of this year. So, yeah, I'll give it a final verdict. Rockin' Wii Remote Wii Motion Plus up, and the Plain Wii Remote up. Sometimes, silence is golden. So, till next time, keep watching.